and we are going to have some fun today talking about WCW in the year 2000, the Great American Bash 2000 specifically. Now, last month we talked about you winning the title at Slamboree, and we also watched you and Sting in the main event on the Nitro the night after. But now we're entering, well, an era where Tony Schiavone referred to WCW as a coffin on roller skates, easily one of the worst times in WCW history. And at this point, both Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff are, at least for now, in control. So as a reminder, just to add some context, Eric gets sent home in September of 99, October of 99. Here comes Vince Russo. Right around that same time, here you come. Maybe you were still covered in some household powders and whatnot. I'm not sure, but you're back and you're right into the main event picture. Now, it doesn't go swimmingly well with Russo. He leaves. There's a little bit of controversy. They're asking for Bischoff to come back, and it almost becomes like this new Mega Powers team, or so they hoped. Hey, Vince Russo had all this success with Vince McMahon's WWF. Eric Bischoff had all this success with Nitro and the NWO. Let's put them together. And a lot of people felt like, man, that could really work. And now we're going to talk about the results of that. Everyone's kind of waiting for Goldberg's return. That is going to happen at Great American Bash, but there's rumor and innuendo that perhaps the powers that be like the idea of turning Goldberg heel. I'm not sure that that was the best idea. What'd you think of that?
So I appreciate you doing the context because I actually had to do that myself to try to put the months. So we're talking spring of 2000, right?
Yeah.
I do remember hearing the I don't want to call it chatter. Shout out Dave Green, but no, just the rumblings. That would be a more appropriate term. And it it it. I mean, it's easy to say now, but I remember thinking back then, Jeff, just shut your mouth. That ain't gonna work. His the character of Bill Goldberg, as we all know, got over by being just a one man wrecking crew. And I don't want to just say in short matches, but for explanation purposes, that's kind of. I mean, he had a couple of matches that would had some length, but his whole persona, his mindset, he didn't really have any heel traits. And so I said, all right, this is going to be an uphill climb, and he's got to do a lot of his work with his mouth because I don't see him and doesn't need to cower it off or chicken shit or even really cheat. So the positioning of everything, how was he going to get across the goal line to really get people to pay money to see get his ass kicked? I just didn't see that. But look, I knew, and that was kind of a running theme through all this research that I read, Conrad. Thank God I wasn't the final say so in this. Or, just Shivani's coughing on skates, coughing on wheels. When you kind of look back on this whole era and the stuff that we're going to kind of talk about today, and I know context is king and being in the moment, man, oh man, there are some god awful decisions made during this run. And one, let me ask you a question. What month was Great American Bash?
This was June. As folks are listening to this, we are on the exact 24-year anniversary, June 11th, 2000.
So April was
Spring Stampede, and that's where they sort of strip all the belts, and we have like the big boom.
And that's where I won the title in Spring Stampede in Chicago. Then the next month was May.
Slamboree is like that triple cage with Arquette and all that.
Kansas City, yeah. And so so now we're only 3 months into the Bischoff.
Oh yeah, actually a little less. I mean, we're probably 2 months in, but it's already just kind of a mismatch. And I want to add some context because I feel like a lot of times people, and I get it. I mean, but back then, the prevailing argument was, oh, well, Goldberg's just a stone cold ripoff. And I think they said that because he wore black trunks and he wore black boots and he was bald and had a goatee. To me, that's where the similarities end. And when we were doing our Top Guy weekend thing for our super supporters over at adfreeshows.com last year, when we did our big get together, we booked a wrestling card and we had a lot of great minds in the same ring at the same time.
Had a blast.
But right before
I
that happened, I got to pick Kevin Sullivan's brain and we talked about Goldberg and he made it clear, no, I wasn't trying to pattern Goldberg after Steve Austin. I was trying to pattern Goldberg after Mike Tyson. And when you really think about the quick, short matches and how he was finishing people right away, and he did have the short boots like Tyson did, and he had on the MMA gloves. So it's not really a boxing glove, but it's as close as he can get. And he didn't talk, and he just looked scary and intimidating and came and ate people up. It clicked for me like, oh man, that was right in front of us. I mean, if he would have put the black towel over his head, which he didn't because Taz was doing that, but if he would have done that, it maybe would have clicked a little faster. But even like the security walk from the back from the locker room with the security guards, that's what you would see for Tyson for his big walk. That just clicked for me talking to Kevin Sullivan last year. Did you make that Tyson comparison back then?
no, I definitely did. I'd love to say that I did, but I always thought that because obviously I was at WWF at the time, WWE, is that Steve's emotional connection with the audience was I'm the working man. I'm the beer drinking, hard charging. I don't want to say 9 to 5, but that was over in abundance. I'm going to drink beer with you. And most importantly, is that this city slicker New York promoter who had been an announcer and he was the son of a promoter, but had been an announcer for years and years and years, did a very controversial finish. And in front of everyone's eyes, they pulled the curtain back that was done in, oh, wait a minute, although it was real or wasn't it real, but he became the Wizard of Oz in a lot of ways became reality. And that's the character of the chairman, Vince McMahon. And I always looked at Steve and Vince, the yin and the yang of that, all of that was obviously we know box office records and the storyline and the endless amount of ups and downs and just everything that goes with that. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on that, but man, it in a lot of ways, I think that one storyline it took the company public, or it exploded things because Stone Cold was hot, but when they did that, then it really got hot. Goldberg was a one man wrecking crew, and his character was so different that he was just in and of itself a one man badass wrecking crew. And I didn't see any similarities in their promo skills or even their in ring work, other than ball headed, what you just said, kind of check the boxes off the appearance. That's where the similarities